like a bird on a tree. I'm just sitting here, I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small, we can sit.
We've Golera Cordia Augusto Foilter Road. Welcome to Be My Guest with me, Mary Honan, on Lear Media TV, supporting the Samaritans, Limerick and Tipperary. And I'm sorry for laughing now, but I know what's coming next. I'm in my special guest in the studio, in his home today is my very, very, very good friend, John Sherlock. Hi, John.
Hi, Mary. Thank you for asking me.
I'm looking at your background, John. Could it be any more artistic and creative, your background?
Oh, it's a mural I did on the wall. It's called a moving mural.
Muriel.
Some people call them wall hangings.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Thank you.
Is that just hanging there in the back of your house, or did you shove it up just for this interview?
Well, between you, me, and the four walls, there's a bookcase behind that, you know? So I didn't want people reading all the interesting books I've got there. Volumes of Playboy don't go down so well.
For anyone who doesn't know, some time back I interviewed John in a previous incarnation on a previous a radio station, and the interview went down so well. It was almost, you could almost say it went viral, and purely because of John Sherlock. To me, he is the funniest man I've ever in my life come across.
Thanks very much, Mary.
Half the time you're not trying to be funny, but we met in the art college, and you loved the art college, didn't you, John? And we became so good friends. I mean, I was missing once. I was over in the tea room, and John was ringing to see was I all right. And you need friends like that, because I had never missed a day, and he thought there's something wrong with her if she's not here today. But I was in the tea room.
Yeah. Well, I think as a mature student, when you're going through a college, any college experience, it can be quite draining.
Yeah.
And you know, like, as you know yourself, like, you're on your nerves and you're doing your best and you're a mature student and you feel like a child at some stages, the way the tutors speak to you. And anyway, we do it better in groups, and we get through the mission, and then it was fantastic. And the most exciting thing I really loved about the art college, and I would recommend anybody that's out there to come to Ireland and go to college. It is state sponsored.
It might be for you. It wasn't for me. I had to fork out the money.
Mary, be careful now. Lightning doesn't strike.
No, I had to fork out all the money.
I don't believe you.
They made a mistake with my back to education. And
did they?
They did, and after 11 months, they took it off me because I was a day short of the allocation.
The requirement.
The requirement, and
God!
Given them all the information they had made a typographical error, and I was a day short, and they took the 11 months. I was entitled to nothing, and I had to sign off every time I went. Yeah, it was just awful. Because people like you had a handle on how to actually get through the entire college.
It was actually destiny. It was actually destiny, because I'll tell you why. You mightn't know this. I was trying to put a studio together out in Patrick's Well, a little village outside Limerick. And about 3 or 4 days beforehand, for whatever reason, without going into it, we got our notice and I had to pack up my studio. I had a week to pack it up. And I was short bat wash. That's the product to put on the bats in the kiln. And I thought, well, I'll get this bat wash now. I'll go down to the art college. I only need a cup of it. I went down to the college to bum some bat wash. And speaking to one of the tutors, he says to me, were you ever at art college? And I said, no, I did an apprenticeship in ceramics rather than a formal education. And he says, why don't you come back and do a formal education? And I said, look, I wouldn't be even able to get through the documentation because I'm a full-on dyslexic. And he said, oh, this place is full of them. And I thought, what? He says, yeah, we'll get the guy in the office to fill out the form for you.
Because I had that bad, John.
You can't believe it. Yeah. I had an inherent fear of forms and formalities. And a fear of being cut out, if you know what I mean, by authority figures, you know? It probably was a kickback from school.
Yeah.
However, I said, no, I don't want to do this. And I thought, no, it's not for me. It's not for me. Because at the time, I lost my job.
Yeah.
I was trying to get the pottery thing on the go. And I was in limbo, in the Bordeaux experience, in between places. And he says to me, look, I said, Tim, if I come back tomorrow, I'll do it, putting it off. And he says, no, this is the last day. It's a closing day.
Was that Jim?
That was Whitewall or Whitehall.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, what's the chances of me walking into the college, the first time I've ever been in the art college in my life?
It was prophetic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right time, right place. So I said, fine, fill the college, fill the forms. And strangely enough, I thought I didn't have the necessary qualifications academically to get in.
Yeah, but you had spent years as a ceramicist in Africa. So you knew as much as the lecturers, any lecturer really, when it came down to the practicality of ceramics, how to actually, you did a lot of ceramics before.
Yeah, the practical side to it, Mary.
Just, but the artistic side and the design side you were lacking in, and that's what they were saying to you. If you had the design side coupled with the
practical side, yeah. Yeah, Thomastown now teaches you the practical side.
Yeah, and I think that is the one thing that is probably, I came from the art college as well, but I think I would have needed more focus on the practical side. The design side was my strength.
Yeah.
And
the academic side to it.
The practical side of it, I loved, but I just felt that I needed more one-to-one, if you like, or at a slower pace to be a John Sherlock.
Well, you see, a lot of them from the college, it's a design course, because when I approached them and queried them further down along the line, saying, you're not teaching what I would refer to as the kids, my fellow students, the practical side to this. I was told straight, this is a design course. If you want to do practical, you go to Thomastown. And I thought, fair enough. That's the angle they're coming at. And it's actually quite sad, because the art college produces 15 to 20 ceramics every year. And where are they? They fall down when they leave. I think they fall down when they leave on the practical side, that when you make a cup as you're drinking out of, or one that I'm drinking out of, you have to be able to make it in 5 to 10 minutes.
Did you make you made that one? I have loads in my house that you made.
Have you?
I didn't pay for any of them. You gave them to me.
I know. You only can sell the weird and wonderful stuff.
I made weird and wonderful stuff.
That's my calling card.
Yours are so practical and so what people want. Mine are something that you put up on a mantelpiece.
Yeah, they're lovely, Mary. Your work is absolutely lovely. And it does have a place. Maybe you'll actually make it and sell it on Etsy.
but what I found with it was my pieces were one-offs. I was what they called a sculptural ceramicist, in that I did one-off pieces, and I suppose they became pieces of art in the sense that I was using the vessel as an object in which to create art and to put my artwork on, whereas yours was, everything you did was totally functional. And that's what people want. And certainly in COVID, people don't want designed or heavily designed or
No.
created.
What they're looking for in covert, as I have found out, are urns. Urns.
Wondered how long
So
you get to that. I have to
please look. Anybody out there listening to this, go on to John Sherlock Pottery in Etsy at urns.
John Sherlock.
I fit everybody into one size. Or is it one size fits all?
To give context to this, John set up his own business in Sugar Hill Pottery, and he makes urns, and it can be a sad subject. I mean, this man is far from sad, but it is a subject that can be very sad, because you make urns for all ages, from from infants, newborn babies upwards, and your American market is going really well, isn't it, for you?
Yeah, and believe it or not, now England as well,
Really?
and in Europe. Now, I'm not going to ever become a millionaire out of it, but I really, and this is the serious side now,
Wouldn't tell us if you were.
I really try to make really nice, one-of, unique urns.
Have you any there to show us?
No, not right now. They'll have to go onto the side. I'm only set up behind the bookcase, Mary. This set is all fraudulent. We'll be taken down after the podcast, and we'll go back to being a normal room again. I see it's snowing beside you, yet I'm in the same city and it's raining.
Well, I just thought it was a lovely scene.
Is this real? This could be false news. False news.
Fake news.
Fake news.
Fake news. But the thing about it is, I just thought it was a lovely scene with the ducks floating by, and I thought it
totally beautiful.
Appeal to your sense of spirituality, John.
Yes, absolutely it does. Frozen in time. Beautiful.
But we got on really well, it's safe to say, in the art college, and you know, I felt I had a kindred spirit in you throughout the time. I don't know, would I have got through it without you emotionally, because...
Oh, that works both ways, Mary, as you well know. But in all life, you only need one friend to cross the bridge.
I know.
You do.
We have
many bridges and many friends, but it was a laugh. It was a 4-year laugh.
But how did you start? We're going to go down your route, John. Where did you start? You were a coach builder, and that's what you trained as here in Limerick. And then you upped and decided to move to Africa.
Yeah, I became a coach builder, and then the next step onto that was design, or draftsmanship as they called it back in the day. And there was an advert going looking for coach builders stroke designers, South Africa, Johannesburg. Free flights, free accommodation.
There's your favorite word.
Free. My favorite word, because the most important thing we have in life is air, which is free. And the second one, which is water, that's now after being changed into a commodity. If you
allow it to be.
Well, they have in Australia.
Oh,
they're now selling water in vast quantities and storing it in all. That's going down another road. Society is going down a very wrong road there, because my basic policy in life comes back from the 70s. High thinking, low living. That applies to get as educated as you possibly can. That opens options. But then live simply, which means that when you do work, you get well paid, but you don't have to work as much. So your free time is being who you are. Instead of the treadmill that so many people are on, they're working 24/7, stressed out of their minds. And this, what I refer to now as financial slavery, that came out. So if you just look at a hypothetical story, you're 20 years of age, 22 years of age, you finish college, fall madly in love, get married, buy a house. In the mortgage is a motor car, all bits and bobs. You're financially trapped for the next, I don't know how many years, 30, 40 years, right? Even the way we build houses that trap us into paying and being committed for most of our lives, for most of our active lives. Sure, that's not a way to live on the planet. The people that came before us in time gone by that lived in simpler houses.
Yeah.
Lived their life. They had time to live their life. They had more leisure time. So probably it's the artistic temperament in me that places a higher value on my leisure time than I do on my working time.
Yeah.
Because there's a trade-off. You can't drive the next best car if you up my style. You have to deal with simpler things. But you have lots of leisure time and free time and time to think and time to enjoy while you're on the planet, because you're not here forever. And people don't remind themselves of that. We're not here forever. And I even promote people and run workshops in coming to build your own urn. The workshop involves basically one primarily thing is the message to you is that it's a two-part message, you're not here forever, and B, someday when you look into your urn that you make during the workshop, that's where you're going to end up. So don't take anything seriously.
Don't ask me to make.
Now I have a fantastic story I can relate to you. I relate a fantastic story to you in relation to that second point, right? In 2007, when life was absolutely so fantastic and everybody had credit cards and free credit available, I took my girlfriend at the time on holidays to Venice. We had a fabulous holiday on my credit card.
As we did.
As everybody did. Shortly afterwards, I got very sick. Actually, it turned out to be kidney failure.
That's right.
And for me to come to terms with that, I made my first urn, because I thought with all my philosophy and all my chat, it is now coming to my time to die. And I got very scared. So I decided that I'd make an urn, and in the process of making it, maybe I'll come to terms with this thing that's going to come my way. In the meantime, of course, bills were coming in the door with bills that I didn't have money to pay for, which one of them was my Visa card payment.
Yeah.
So eventually it got so bad, now it took months, that it was sitting at about, as they say in America, 2,700, or in Europe, 2,700, close to 3,000 at the time. They sent a collecting agent around.
Oh, God.
So he arrived up on my property with all his forms, business looking like a bank executive with muscles. And I invited him in, and I was wrecked at the time.
One of those knuckle duster.
No, not quite. But he had the pen, the power of the pen, and he was insisting that I'd make a commitment to paying something off, 10 euros a week or whatever off. And I was saying, no, we'll go to court and let the judge decide on my circumstances. That was my take. However, in with him setting himself up on the table after inviting him in, and he's getting everything out, and I had my story ready, and I'm sure he had his story ready. I said, I'll make you a cup of tea. Didn't want tea. And I said, listen, sir,
So that's bribery.
I'm trying to be polite. I was still in my pajamas. It was like 12 o'clock in the day. So he obviously could see that I was very sick. I go into my studio, I come back out with my urn, and I put it right in front of him. He's looking at the urn. He probably doesn't know what it is. And I'm sitting down looking at him. And I said, that, I said, is an urn. And I said, as you can see, I'm so sick. Shortly, I'm going to end up in that. So I'm being polite to you because you're at the lowest end of my problems right now. All I can do is give you a cup of tea. With that, I finished my statement. He looked at the urn. He looked at me. He packed up his shit and he said, we'll send you a letter. And off he went. And that was the end of that. And I thought,
you never heard any more.
Never heard. And months afterwards, I thought that was worth me 2,700 for having a prop as an urn. And I know. It was amazing. Actually, one should ever have, in case you owe bills, buy an urn.
If you don't even have one, if you're never going to even...
If you never got when they come around to collect the money, you can say, I've got a terminal illness. I'm ready to pop in there.
Oh, that's not funny.
I know. It was work. And I thought, the next thing that happened was I had a big heart and everything on the urn because I really made it with all the emotion I was putting into this, right? Later on, they found out what was wrong and I was coming right again. I had a small operation and I was coming right again. Mm. And a woman pitched up in my studio. I think she was head of the arts department in Dublin in the
But it has to be said, you won the Davin and Bell award for your ceramics at the very end of it.
I did, didn't I?
Your work is just, it's just beautiful. I have it at home. I love your pieces, John. I don't pay for them, as I said. You always very kindly give me a gift of them, but I look at them regularly and they're beautiful.
So I had the urn with a big heart in it. And the heart, I did the raku style on it and I oxidated the heart, the copper. That turns out copper. It goes from blue to copper, turquoise to copper. And the lady was looking around and she said that she was from the gallery in Dublin, the head gallery in Dublin. Yeah. And she's one of the collectors and she was traveling through and she's going to a wedding down this part and she needs something. And one of the galleries, local galleries, recommended me. Here she is in my studio. And I said, oh God, I don't really have much to sell. And I was giving her the old story, which I was really low on stock. And she looked at the urn and she says, my God, what's that? With a blink of an eye, I said, that's a love vase.
I love vase.
I love vase. She says, what's a love vase? I says, well, when you're young and you're madly in love, you write down all the nice things you say to each other, pop them in the vase. And when you're fighting, go back into the vase and remember what you used to say to each other. She said, it makes a perfect wedding gift. I says, I know. And she bought it.
For an urn.
Anything is only what you name it. That's the first lesson actually in the Course of Miracles.
It's what they call semiotics. It is whatever it.
Whatever you name it, whatever you call it, symbiotics. I have to remember that one.
Semiotics.
And that's what it is. The love vase. It changed. And I told it, and I thought, God Almighty, there's another sign here. Maybe I should start making them.
I mean, metaphorically speaking, it is a love vase in a sense, because if somebody wants to their loved one to remain with them forever,
there you go.
You can input stuff into it, as you said, like little love notes and little messages and things like that. Or
of course.
You can put the love of your life into it.
Absolutely. So, I never thought of that.
There you go.
There you go. So
It's
the
called,
urn.
it's called brainstorming.
I sold it for $300, and the whole amount, I thought, how about that? That whole little thing, I saved myself $3,000 in total. And the number 3 was significant to me because that's the house I grew up in. So I thought, that's another sign. Maybe I'll go down the road. Anyway.
Did you ever think when you were a young boy here in Limerick that you would have had such a colourful life? I mean, you left Limerick, you went to Africa, you married in Africa, your ex-wife was a ceramicist, she taught you ceramics, you ended up coming back here, going to the art college, starting your own raku ceramics business, and
Mary, life is so unpredictable.
Doing all this yoga and
I know
meditation, and
I know. I could have ended up working for because I worked with the railways. That was my first job.
Yeah.
I remember when I was telling my father I was leaving, and he's saying to me, you have a permanent job for life, and you're walking away from it. And I thought, there you go. Life tracks. You come to crossroads in life. And probably every crossroad is the perfect one, just depends one. But I could have ended up still with the railways, married to some local girl with 5 children living out in Corbally. Would I have cracked up?
Nothing against Corbally, it's a lovely
Nothing
area.
against Corbally, but I'm just as a...
Well, I could not imagine you in a steady job for the rest of your life. I was speaking with Bibi Baskin yesterday, and she said the same thing. She sat outside after 20 odd years in RTE with her own show, and she sat in the car park one morning and she looked and she said, is this going to be my life for the next 20 odd years?
Yeah.
So she walked in the door, she gave in her notice. They thought she was insane, giving up a pensionable job, and she headed off to India.
Oh, did she?
And she spent she went to England first, spent 7 years in England, and then 15 years in India.
My God.
She's somebody that you would love to talk to, because she spent 15 years there, opened a hotel, a B&B type place, had no idea how to open it, but went in with the philosophy, sure, if it fails, it fails, and if it succeeds, great. And
there's one fabulous thing about not having wealth, is that you have nothing to lose. It's an amazing standpoint. Bob Marley said, when you finally want nothing, you end up with everything. And it's a weird one. And when you have nothing to lose, the world opens up to you.
John, the funniest story you ever told me was the story of you going, you in Africa, moving into the village and everyone moving out.
Oh yeah, when I moved up to Rhodesia.
Please tell that story again.
That's the story. If I tell ever this story, I could be certified and put away into a home.
Oh, go on.
It was 1979, just coming up to 1980. And I decided that Rhodesia, at the time it was called, was going to have a change of government. And it would be a new country. And I believe it's a beautiful country. I was up there on holidays, but seeing a place on holidays. And I decided, wow, there'll be fabulous opportunities here. So I decided I'd go up and find a job, and I applied to a company. And I got a job offer, and I was on my way up to a place called Bulawayo to take the job, and I had the form signed and everything. But anyway, when I got up to the bridge, Bite Bridge, something bridge, it's a crossing between South Africa and Rhodesia, there were lines and lines and lines of motor cars with people with beds on top of them and furniture and ordinary people leaving. I couldn't believe it.
And you thought, yay!
And I thought, yeah, loads of opportunity here. These people don't realize the opportunity. But of course, we knew who got in, Mr. Mugabe, president for life, and and the outcome of the whole thing. Anyway, I didn't last too long when I saw the reality of what was coming down. But yeah, Mary, that's one of the stories I have to delete. Like many stories that I did, I just got the wrong end. I think it's something to do with, you know, the way people get mixed up with red and green, green for go, red for stop, and they can get them mixed up. I can get mixed up with things like that, seeing, I don't have the gift of common sense.
Loads
You
of
know,
intelligence.
no common sense.
You saw it as an opportunity and people fleeing for their lives.
Yeah, it never dawned on me. I remember one time buying a house in a place called Walfish Bay, or in Afrikaans it's called Walvis Bay. Now, for those that have been there will know there's nothing there. It's just a flat piece of desert cut out amongst the sand dunes. And I remember now, this is another thing I'll tell you about Walvis Bay. If you leave your house for a year, when you come back, it's going to be gone. It's going to be covered by a sand dune.
Wow.
Yeah. There are sand dunes all around it. They're moving sand dunes and they just move in. So at the time, the fishing industry collapsed. This is in 78, I think. Anyway, the fishing industry collapsed up that side and there was a whole load of changes and a lot of people left. And I was up there working for a place called Rossing Uranium Mines. And like, who wants to work in a uranium mine? You end up like Mr. Smithers, don't you? Radioactive.
I have no idea who Mr. Smithers
Who works there?
but I'm sure it's not like
Lord of Egypt's like me. Anyway. So the banks were looking for people to take over the mortgage of these houses because all the fishermen just packed and left. And I took over one of the mortgages thinking, this is fantastic. All I got to do is clean out the sand, of which the back kitchen was full of sand. So we got a bulldozer, cleaned it out and bought the house. And I rang my mother telling her,
your son owns
unless you knew my mother, you really wouldn't get the full gist of this. I rang my mother all excited saying, Mommy, I bought a house. And she says, who wants a house in the middle of a desert? And, like, of course she was right. Who wants a house in the middle of a desert? That if you leave it and go on holidays, you come back and it's full of sand. Anyway, another common sense, you know. I envy all these people with common sense.
Did you just fall into life, John?
Yeah, it was like someone traveling through life. Just imagine life being a corridor full of bookcases, a room full of bookcases, glass ones. And you're told to walk from one side of it to the other. And as you're walking, somebody switches out the light. So all you can hear are bookcases crashing around you. So that's the way, like, I'm much older than I look. I only dye my hair gray, what's left of it. I just went from one event to the next. And I think most people do that without them knowing it. Just go from one.
Do you ever
I hope so. I hope I'm not the only one.
Do you ever wish that you had been more, I won't say you're not sensible, because I think you're very, you have a lot of common sense in a lot of ways, but do you ever think that you had actually had that job for life, that sensibility, that home, that two up, two down, or as they say with the children, and I know you have children and that, but did you ever think that crave normality? whatever.
Well, do you know, Mary, in spending the time up in Templeglanton, where I did 8 years living by myself on the side of a mountain, gives you a lot of time to think. And the conclusion is you can't go back and change anything, because one thing leads on to the next. And do I crave for it? Well, you can see, you know my family. They're all 2 up, 2 down, salt of the earth, 40 years in the same job, worked their way up to the companies. God, I couldn't do that. I'm so pleased I took the road less traveled, I'll call it, than I did. And even though I've been married and involved in many relationships, I said to a guy delivering the coal the other day, he's still looking at me. I says to him, young man, I says, do not get married until you're 40. He says, why? I says, marry a 20-year-old. If you're 40, go and marry a 20-year-old. So she's still gorgeous when you lose your eyesight.
You're terrible. What a sexist thing to say.
Anyway, no, life, I think when we're born, Mary, we're dealt cards. And I think everybody dealt cards. And everybody gets up and plays the cards the best they can. Even people that mess up on their lives. I genuinely think they're doing the best they can with their lot in life. And I don't think anybody ever gets it right.
Are you glad you went down, because you've had a lot of careers. I mean, as you say, the coach building and all of that.
I did. I was a coach. I worked, I'll tell you roughly, and I'm going to lose half of them. I worked as a coach builder. I worked as a fabricator. I worked on the mines. I worked as a draftsman. I worked as a salesman. In between smaller, insignificant jobs, we call them career jobs. And then when I worked in the pottery business, it really, really suited me. I remember getting up early in the morning and going down, getting ready on the wheel, lining up my clay, playing some music, lighting up a spliff and thinking, my God, is this some job?
John.
That's the truth of it. I'm too old at this stage for them to put me in jail. They'll never keep up with my medical expenses.
I was talking to Father Ryan Duns yesterday, a colleague of mine in Irish dancing, and we were talking about the crack. And I said, for any Americans out there, crack spelled C-R-A-I-C means fun. And I said, doesn't mean that we're sniffing anything. And Father Ryan says, Mary, you don't sniff crack, you smoke it. You sniff cocaine.
I've never done anything like that. I just was lucky enough to live in a portion of the world where the best marijuana is grown, and I fully enjoyed it.
Oh, John.
It's true as God.
How do you know you enjoyed it? You can't remember.
Of course I can. I can. It isn't as if you get drunk and you don't remember anything. Maybe you should have a little spliff yourself. It might chill you out a little bit, even though you can't get it in this country properly.
I'm chilled enough, thanks.
Anyway,
in my life.
Getting back to the work of a potter and an artist, I thought, my God, this is the best job in the world. Rather than being stressed out as I would be, one time I was managing an engineering company, and I remember lying in bed going through the books in my head because I had a whole team of guys to pay the following morning, and we had a cash flow problem. And no amount of money in the world pays for that kind of stress. And the prestige of driving a big Mercedes and looking the part, a car gets you from A to B. That's all it ever does. And people what people think don't make a difference. Makes no difference.
I
That all goes on in your head.
I
what
don't
people
think
think.
I don't think people's opinions matter a jot to you.
No. Well, I wouldn't like to be seen in bad light, and I wouldn't like to be seen as a thug or a rogue or anything, because I'm not. I really try to be straight up and be honest with my dealings with people and be honest with my friends and be a good friend. Like, I do have standards, Mary, but yeah.
But you
like
are
whether they think I'm rich or poor or up or down, please.
You have been a good friend. I mean, I keep on saying it. I would never ever have got through the art college without. I mean, everyone was so lovely in there, but it's such a daunting task. Nobody will ever know how difficult it is. They think it's just a doddle. It's art, but it's just so negative in a lot of respects, because you think you're finished and then they'll tell you, do it again, it's not quite there yet, you need to try it this way or try it that way. And there's always you're always constantly trying to evolve the piece that you're making, and even the final piece, when you look at it, you say to yourself, well, I could have gone a little bit further. And I'm sure you think that with your pieces, even when they're finished, I could have done this or I could have done that with it. It's very much a process in the art college, and very, very critical at times. And unless you're very strong and able to take criticism, it's not a place to be.
Yeah, the art college, you'd really want your self-esteem sorted out there, because the art college is based on criticism. And if you can't take criticism, you wouldn't last a week in the art college.
No matter how good you are, you might be extremely
none to do. Yeah, they'll criticize. That's what they've done. They analyze and criticize, analyze and criticize, and analyze and criticize.
You know what I found? What I found was the hardest for me was I wanted to do ceramic conceptual coffee pots. And I had all these wonderful ideas in my head, and I'd made one particular piece, and the giraffe, the legs of the giraffe and the body of the giraffe was the coffee pot, and the head, the arms was a gorilla with his arms out like this, like a gorilla with attitude. But and the elephant was a spout, the elephant's thing and trunk, and they wanted me to make dainty little teacups, and I really didn't want to make those, and I couldn't understand the idea that you were being told to do something that you didn't want to do, that you were being, but I understood it at the end, John, that it was taking you out of your comfort zone. And and they'd ask you what you wanted to do, and it was almost like, don't tell them what you really want to do, because they'll give you the exact opposite. Just push you to the limit. I mean, it was just...
Well, that's a good thing, really, because that really worked for me, because I can be quite rigid in my thinking and quite...
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I suffer from tunnel vision, I think they call it. And I needed for that to break down. And they did that. They did that. Well, as you know, Mary, they threw me out in third year, and I had to spend a year out. And when I went back in for interview to finish off the fourth year,
I never know how you actually had to, take that year out, but it was probably the best thing that ever happened.
That ever happened. The reason what happened is I only found out. Let's say, I forget the exact markings now. Let's say 40 was a pass, and you needed 45 to move on to fourth year. I got 43. Now, one could say 2 marks, but it was a deliberate shot across my bow to stop acting the idiot, as I was told, and take this thing seriously.
And you were told to take a year out.
Take a year out and come back and reapply, which I did. Because I'm one of these people, I've got the personality that when I bite into something, I will not let go until it is completed.
That's the way I am. I'm like a dog with a bone.
Yeah, and that's it. And when I'm completed it, then I can walk away, should that be the case. But I will try my best to walk across the bridge.
I think for me, having, I suppose, come from a very creative background, I suppose, and being involved in Irish dancing, you grew up with criticism in some way, respect. You grew up from the age of 4 being told, do this again, do that again. That's not quite right. Do it again, do it again, do it again. Repeat that. That wasn't good. So you were able to take criticism. You were able to take this constant having to push yourself to get the best you can possibly be. So when in the art college, it was kind of tough when you'd go up with your piece and you'd say, I think that's it now. And they'd say, yeah, that's a good start. And you think, but you could draw on your past experiences. What was soul destroying for people were when they put and I thought, for me, it was the hardest part of ceramics for me. I probably should have done fashion or graphic design, because the hardest part for me in ceramics was watching people put their entire final pieces into the kilns and everything exploding in the kiln because there was an air bubble. And that meant they failed the final year project. Therefore, they had to repeat the whole year. And there was no consideration given to, we've seen the work. It's absolutely fabulous before it went in the kiln. Something went wrong in the kiln and it blew up. No, you had to repeat. And
ceramics is
I don't know how I managed to actually get through without, because you and I were taken in without a year to we did a 4-year degree course in 3 years based on portfolios. For you, it was based on your many years as a ceramicist, and the fact that you knew as much as anybody in ceramics.
Well, Mary, ceramics is non-forgiving, number one. And number two, in relation to the criticism shouldn't be taken personally.
No.
And when you don't take it personally, it's the piece that's wrong, or the dance movement is wrong, not you. And what happens, I think, in our present day young people is they don't get this criticism.
That's exactly it,
they're not toughened up to life, and they take things personally.
When you're told you can be anything you want to be by some parents, and I think parents do a huge injustice to children when they tell them it's great being helping your child to feel a sense of confidence, but telling a child that you can be anything you want to be in life is setting them up for huge disappointment, because none of us can be everything we want to be in life. I want to be 5 feet tall.
I know.
But I'm 4'10". And I would have loved to have been, my ambition when I was younger was either to be a prima ballerina.
Oh yeah.
I would have been, height-wise and
everything. You'd been the right size for that.
Or an air hostess.
Oh yeah.
And I couldn't make the height because they would, in those, when I was younger, you had to be, so you have to
that tall girls.
I think you have to be realistic about and say, not everything is for you, but there is a place for you in this world. There's a place for everybody. And I
think the Steiner school works on things like that. The Steiner system of education work on things like that. And maybe it's a point of education. 1 second, this is falling all over the place. Maybe it's a point of education. I don't know, Mary. I'm so pleased I'm the age I am. I don't have to go and whack my brain about all of these things anymore. How the school system works. And it's easy to criticize it. As you know, when you teach in school, I was teaching, I was asked to go and teach in the school Tai Chi. As you know, I'm a Tai Chi practitioner.
That's what I was going to go on to. You were psychic, John. You just knew what I was going to ask.
So there I was with this bunch of teenagers. And I love teenagers.
All
I
the
remember, I have great memories being a teenager and how it's so important to be, when I was a teenager, to be cool. Like Easy Rider, the movie Easy Rider came out at the time, you know? And being groovy was really where it was at. Really, nobody understands what groovy means, but however, as a teenager, it was where it was at. And so I had these teenagers in front of me, and I remember the principal came around and he says, they're really difficult now to work with, John, so don't take any heed to them. So I lined them up and they were looking, and I thought, I'll win these over.
They didn't know who they were dealing with.
They didn't know, you know, I'm the man. So I lined them up and I said, listen, I said to them, I'm going to talk about things that you mightn't understand. But have you ever seen the movie The Matrix?
They probably looked at you as if you had 14 heads.
Correct. Correct.
The
And
eyes started to dilate.
And they were looking at each other with these blank expressions. And a hand comes up from a girl in the front. She says, when was it released, sir? And I said,
the Dark Ages.
I think about 1999. And they said, well, we weren't born. And I thought this movie should have been in schools.
Matrix.
To show you how society, anyway, it went down and we went through the Tai Chi program for their hour and they went out and everybody was happy and the next crowd came in and I pitched the whole subject in a completely different manner. I think by the time I was finished the day, I knew how to pitch it to the last group. So that was a fantastic experience.
You like teaching Tai Chi, John?
I love teaching Tai Chi. I love teaching Tai Chi, but the crew I teach to are all around my own age. It's I won't say I know, it's an actively retired pastime or exercise.
John, you're never going to be retired.
No, I came up with
a ceramicist can go on forever.
Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah, you know, were you inspired by the Japanese raku artists? Were you inspired by Japanese art?
Yeah, I love the concept of raku, but beauty by chance. And that's like people.
That's what I don't like. And your work is so fantastic. But I liked the predictability of, I loved working with decals and doing up all the artwork and seeing that's the way I want it to look now. And getting the decals made up and putting the decals onto the pieces. And they became almost like canvases for my artwork. And so I knew what way they were going to turn out, unless and I could add some gold leaf, or I could add gold to them, or I could add platinum, or I could add silver. You don't know what yours is going to turn out. You put it into the raku firing, and what was red could end up a completely different color.
I tell you what, I love the process. I love firing it with live fire and a kiln right in front of you going up to 1,000 degrees. And you know that if this thing falls over or blows up, there is no way of cool. This is a bomb you have in front of you. Then I love the idea of taking it out of the kiln when it's red hot and plunging it into a smoke fire that blazes up and everything goes mad. And then at the end of it, the concept, the Zen concept, is everything is perfect by chance. So when you look at a tree and you see all the leaves, every one of them perfect, by chance, different, by chance.
And none of them the same.
None of them the same. Isn't that a wonder where you scratch your head and think, wow.
You know what I find wonderful about trees and leaves in particular, leaves in particular, is that they're almost diametrically opposed to human beings, to our breathing system, because we breathe in.
Yeah.
We breathe in oxygen, and we
breathe out carbon.
We breathe out carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
And the leaves breathe in carbon dioxide and they breathe out oxygen. So we work in tandem. So I always get upset when I see people knocking trees. I love trees. I haven't a huge garden. I've got about 10 trees in my garden, and for the size of my garden, but I love trees because I do think that they work in harmony with us.
Well, we're byproducts of the planet, Mary, you know.
And that's why I find COVID-19 and the fact that we're supposed to be wearing masks and things like that. That's why I find it absolutely detrimental, not just to us, but to the planet as well, because the trees and the leaves need our carbon dioxide to survive.
Well, they're getting it. It's just filtered.
It's filtered.
They're getting it from us. It's just filtered now. They're not getting all our coughing and sweating. I don't know. I just see getting back to the concept of beauty by chance is that I love the magical quality that happens within Raku, and that being said, that's it. And it's got that magic, that human magic. And I don't like predictability. When you've got predictability, then you've got expectation. When you've got expectation, you've got disappointment.
Yeah.
No expectation, no disappointment.
There is that, but I would be heartbroken if a piece I put in and it looked lovely and I had it in my head. This is the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
And it turned out anything other than what I wanted it
to
be, or a different color, I'd be saying, you know. But so COVID should be okay for you. I mean, the process of lockdown is you're zenned out. It matters nothing to you because you can still do your
doing my work. I miss contact with people.
Yeah.
And I'm not a computer person where I could be friends with somebody doing Zoom.
Could you not do your kiln? Could you not open your studio via Zoom to an audience, and or maybe do your Tai Chi to an audience?
I've been asked to do it. It's not me. It's not me. I like the idea of pitching up, meeting the people, the physical contact. Even in my studio, as you know, I taught pottery in my studio. I had girls there coming, the same girls coming to me for 7 years. 7 years. I used to wake up on a Saturday and I thought, oh God, if I see these faces again, I'm going to crack. And they all thought I loved them. And I went up one morning, I said, lads, I said, we're all getting a divorce. I'm not going to teach anymore. They were crying. It was horrible. And I had to stand there fast, grinding my teeth. No, I'm finished teaching. I'm finished teaching here. I love the idea of teaching, where you go, you do your act, and you leave. Not the same crowd. And with the Tai Chi, I like the Tai Chi from a point of view is I can teach them Tai Chi. And when they know the format, I can say, now the essence of this is practice, and you can practice at home. You do not have to come to me anymore. Maybe for grinds, you know, where you get updated or perfect your practice. But the goal of this is that you have a practice you can do at home.
Yeah, but they probably needed you for the emotional.
Yeah, as I need them to have a crack.
As my mother would say, they're coming to the goat's house for wool if they were coming to you for emotional support.
Well, in that sense, my partner made me ready. Asked me to read a poem this morning.
The all-suffering Sylvia.
The all-suffering Sylvia that she wrote. And
but Sylvia is a very creative person as well. She's a beautician, and
yeah, but
I mean, does she give you hot wax massages and I'm probably regretting actually going down this route.
Well, in
But
saying that,
facials, John, facials.
I got the full body massage
No,
when
we'll
20
stick
years
with
ago when we
we'll,
started out,
we'll
and I
stick with
haven't
the,
received one since.
we'll stick with the facials.
Uh,
That's what I meant.
no. Now Sylvia is she teaches yoga and she does energy healing.
Oh, so you could open up maybe a retreat.
We could. I'd have to change my name to Jesus. Telling people pick up your bed and walk.
No, but seriously, you could open up a retreat with all your acquired knowledge.
Mary, I would love.
And people could do a weekend of ceramics within that retreat.
You're talking. Mary, if I could, but I'm working on it.
Just
get enough money together to get a retreat center over in Portugal, because the sun would be part of it.
Yeah, I saw
and run retreats where you'd be doing your yoga, your meditation, your healing, maybe a little bit of Tai Chi, the whole package.
Sylvia doing her beauty therapy.
No, she's finished with the beautician stuff. She's had enough of people that. I think the next back she's going to rub is she's going to plan to break it with a karate chop. You can do, she tells me, you only can do that work for so long. That's got a sell by date.
Yeah, but if you're getting paid for a proper
sell by date
therapy, part of, or you had people employed to do that side as part of the retreat. People
maybe
they come, they do Tai Chi, they do maybe 2 days of ceramics, they make their own urn. And then they go off and they go for walks and they take in the air, and then you
see the way I look at it, Mary.
And then they go home.
Then they go home. Once they go home and not hang around.
And they don't have to come back to you for any emotional.
No emotional stuff. I remember one time I trained as a hippotherapist. It was a 2-year course. Finally, after getting my certificate and passing all known exams, I put an ad in the newspaper and a whole load of people came. And they did ring me back and say, thank you very much, John. Fantastic.
I think I had a good time.
But I was wrecked. By the time you'd been finished listening to whatever was wrong with them, because people have got seriously stuff wrong with them. Genuine. I'd be wrecked. I'd have a session in the morning and another session in the afternoon. In the meantime, I'd be like comatose thinking, what the hell is going on in that person's life? Imagine suffering. I couldn't do it. I simply couldn't do it. Wasn't me.
I could. I could listen to people forever.
I know you could, Mary. I can't. If you got something problem, I'll send them to you.
If you have a problem, come to me. I listen. I'm good at listening.
I like to do the fun stuff where we all go and have a lovely time. Fun, happiness, sunshine. And if you got any deep-seated, rooted emotional problems, I'm the wrong guy.
Go to Mary. It makes me feel that I have less problems.
Yeah, I can't do it. I have enough of my own to deal with. You know, so that's my goal. Yeah, that could be a new thing after COVID. Find a retreat center in the south of Portugal, and that I could rent a house, open a retreat.
Why Portugal? I mean, here in Ireland could do with it after COVID.
The weather doesn't. I'd be going
weather, but people, I think, we are going to need emotional stimulation, which they won't get from you, but they will from Sylvia, and they're going to need to be around people who, and they're going to need a different form of relaxation when it all ends, a form of, I mean, okay, you can think people are relaxed now because they're at home, they're not at work, they're doing things from home, but there's nothing more stressful than knowing you can't go out, or you can't meet friends, or you can't go to the pub, or you can't go to the restaurant, or you can't go to school, which seemed like a novelty in the start. Oh, we don't have to get up for school. So they're going to need a different form of relaxation that you and Sylvia and people like you could provide.
Absolutely. But if I'm going to be part of the team, it has to be in a sunny climate.
You can include me in the team because I can sit and listen to their problems.
You, we could, we could. You could be the Agata aunt. No, when I look at jobs, Mary, be it teaching pottery or teaching Tai Chi or the other stuff that I get up to, I look at it as a job. And when I'm writing it, I think of what kind of a job would I like? Not what the benefits of the service. Some people come at it, I can provide the service. I think, yeah, I can provide the service, put that to one side, but I want to work in a sunny climate. I want to have a pool. I want to be near the sea. Yeah, I'll apply for that job. And especially if I'm organizing myself a job, that's part of the conditions.
Yeah.
It's like my studio. I have a beautiful studio up in the hills. I like to work with no one bothering me because, as you know, I've got ADD. So as if there's people around, it's too much stimulation for me. I can't keep my eye on everything. So I need...
Is that why you've done so many different various forms of creativity all your life, that you've never really settled on? Apart from ceramics, that has been the mainstay in your life.
Yeah. Boredom, Mary. My enemy is getting bored.
But boredom can be good too. It's you don't have to be firing on all cylinders all the time. It's all right to be bored. It's all right to be, I think people, I know when I was teaching my dancing class, children would come in and they were going to ballet, they were in a stage school, they were doing Irish dancing, they were playing the piano, they were learning the violin, they were doing speech and drama, they were in sport with the GAA. And I was thinking, there isn't a moment of that child's life that hasn't been stage managed.
Do you think there's been overcompensating because they're out working?
No, I think it's that people have this attitude now. We'll put them into everything, and allow them to experience everything. But if you're going to be good at something, you've got to focus on that one thing.
Yeah.
And parents should say, well, now you've got 10 weeks now of doing this, and this. Pick one or two things and be good at those.
Yeah.
And I think that actually carries into their schoolwork, because they say to themselves, well, I think a lot of Irish dancers become very, very good at school, and they study well because they've taken the criticism, they understand the criticism, they also understand how to keep working and keep driving through and pushing through the pain barrier to get fit, or to learn a step, or to learn a dance, or to get better. So they carry that ethos into their schoolwork, and the majority of the really high standard dancers are really high standard academics as well, and scholastically, because they've learned how to push themselves to that standard. So I think children are being pushed into too many things. I think they need to I think their brains need downtime as well. They need to be bored, maybe for an hour every day, just to I think it's good to be bored every now and again, to feel, oh God, I've done nothing now for the last hour or two, because as human beings we need that. I think we need that downtime. And
I get that downtime in my routine, because I get up in the morning, and for the first hour I meditate, and then I go and I do my Tai Chi practice, and then I move through my day. So really I'm up, and this is the truth. Even though I go to bed now by 9, 9:30, I'm in a coma by 9:30, but I'm up at 6.
I think in every school there's 2 subjects that should be compulsory from primary level, from babies up along the line, senior infants, and that's sign language, which should be compulsory, because not every hearing impaired child not every hearing impaired child is able to lip read. And we should be able to communicate with them rather than them having to communicate with the few people that actually know how to do sign. And secondly, I think meditation should be taught.
Well, there'll be some go teaching children meditation.
Yeah, but you could. I mean, you know, in Japan, they teach children from the earliest ages, one, to sit properly inside in class, to do, and then when it comes to lunchtime, just say 10 children take the wash up, and 10 and they collect the dishes from the tables of their colleagues, of their classmates.
Oh yeah, the clean up, yeah.
And the other children eat, and then they take it in their turns, and they learn from an early age to clean their environment around them. They also learn meditation at a very early age. So you come into class and you spend maybe a half an hour in between the day just relaxing.
Well, I think that would help in Irish society, and it might actually might be helpful to those 40-year-old men who are still living with mommy and daddy.
Nothing wrong. I think
unique to Irish society, where they still haven't moved out of the house.
My father died when I was 32, and my mom when I was 33. And if they were still alive, I'd still be living with them.
Would you?
Yeah, because I'm still living in their house.
I think my parents paid me. They had a party when I left.
They couldn't get rid of me. I said one day that God love them, they had to die to get rid of me.
Jesus. And you're still in the house. Different strokes for different folks.
A friend of mine, when Mommy was very sick, he said to her, "Oh, Myra, I won't let you go on your own." She was saying, "Oh, Jesus," she said, he won't even let me be on my own when I'm dead." He was mad about her, a friend of mine. He was mad about her. He said, "Myra, we won't let you go on your own." "Oh, Jesus," she said, "I can't even die in peace."
Die in peace. I know.
John Sherlock, you were absolutely a star, as you always are.
Okay.
Right. This is your first Zoom, is it?
This is the first time I did Zoom, yeah.
Are you hooked in it now?
No.
Did you like my ducks?
I love the whole scene. I don't know how you arranged that. How did you arrange that?
Oh, I just uploaded a video that I liked, and that goes for 8 hours without stopping if you didn't want to stop it. And
how do you plant yourself on top of the video?
Well, that's the magic of Zoom and a green screen.
Oh my God, how about that? I better look into it. I've got the app. I loaded up the app this morning.
All you have to do is buy a green screen, a cheap green screen. Ours is mounted onto the wall.
I put whatever I want in front of it.
We have loads of green screens in here.
Oh, are you in the studio now?
I'm in the studio, and there's a green screen behind me, and this is projected onto the green screen.
Oh wow!
And
there you go.
And one of those ring lights beside it. You know. You should try it. You should do it. You could.
I will.
You could have. You could do meditation via Zoom. Zoomitation, call it. Zoomitation. Zoomitate with John.
Yeah.
Or Zoomitate with Sherlock.
The art of doing nothing when Zoom.
Do nothing with Sherlock.
Yeah. Anyway,
John,
is this coming to the end now?
It is.
I'm losing focus.
God bless.
Love you.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free.